Welcome to Humanity's Memory.
Jesus, the radical verses. Jesus, the marketable brand, 2,000 years ago. A carpenter's son from Nazareth wandered the dusty roads of Galilee. His message was as radical as it was dangerous. Blessed are the poor. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. He overturned tables in the temple, scolded religious elites, and preached humility. Fast forward to the United States of America, the global marketplace of everything, including faith, and that same carpenter has been rebranded. Today, Jesus is less a revolutionary prophet and more a logo, a corporate mascot stamped onto books, television broadcasts, coffee mugs, and billion-dollar megas. The radical Jesus who challenged empire has been replaced by the marketable Jesus who serves it. His humility has been photoshopped into prosperity. His call to serve the poor has been reinterpreted as a divine endorsement of wealth. In short, the Jesus of Galilee has been transformed into Jesus Inc., the most profitable business brand in American history. And if the carpenter could walk into one of today's mega churches, shining like a Las Vegas casino, filled with LED walls, professional rock bands, and tithe kiosks, he might wonder whether he had stumbled into a house of prayer or the lobby of a Fortune 500 company. The wealthy elite. Christianity as a luxury brand for America's wealthy elite. Christianity has become a luxury brand, as recognizable as Gucci, Tesla, or Rolex. Step into a megachurch in Houston, Dallas, or Chicago, and you'll find an atmosphere designed not for the desperate sinner, but for the successful executive. Glass walls, massive auditoriums, polished marble, and perfectly engineered sound systems, radiating the aura of exclusivity. Pastors like Joel Osteen preach to these crowds with toothy smiles and motivational slogans. The message is intoxicating. Your wealth is not just luck, it's God's blessing. Your mansion, your Porsche, your investment portfolio, evidence that the Lord favors you. In this theology, prosperity is proof of righteousness. Poverty, by implication, is a spiritual failure. The wealthy elite, hearing this, leave church reassured. They are not merely successful entrepreneurs. They are God's chosen stewards. Their empire building, stock trading, and accumulation of assets are not greed, they are holy duty. Thus, Christianity becomes a kind of spiritual luxury, good faith as social status. Religion as an exclusive club where divine approval is measured in square footage and horsepower. The poor Christianity as the last hope, and then, in the same pews or, more often, in the nosebleed seats, you find the poor. Factory workers, single mothers, janitors, Uber drivers. They come with weary eyes and empty pockets, clutching envelopes. With their last few dollars, convinced that giving is the key to God's blessing for them. Christianity is not a luxury brand. It is a last hope. They listen to sermons promising that if they sow generously, they will reap abundantly. If they tithe faithfully, God will heal their sickness, cancel their debts, and open doors to prosperity. They sing the same songs as the rich, but with tears streaming down their cheeks, because for them, the promise of divine intervention is not symbolic, it is survival. But the cruel irony, while the wealthy treat church as a networking event or motivational seminar, the poor finance the show. Their $10 bills pay for the pastor's new Bentley. Their sacrifices fund the $10.5 million mansion. Their hope is the fuel that powers The megachurch empire in this twisted ecosystem. Jesus' words to the poor, "Blessed are you," are converted into business strategy. The very people he sought to uplift are exploited as customers of a spiritual economy that sells them dreams but delivers them guilt to realities in the same church picture this Sunday morning. A megachurch with 30,000 people. The pastor steps onto a stage, glowing with $1 million worth of lights and sound. In the front rows, the wealthy nod approvingly. They hear the sermon as affirmation. Yes, my wealth is God's blessing. My company's success is proof of divine favor. They leave church and climb into their Teslas, driving back to gated communities, reassured that Jesus has signed off on their lifestyle. In the back rows, the poor bow their heads. They hear the same sermon as aspiration. If I keep giving, if I keep believing, one day I too will be blessed. They leave church and board crowded buses, return to small apartments, and continue waiting for the miracle that never comes. To realities, one message, two entirely different interpretations. For the rich, church is confirmation. For the poor, church is consolation. And for the pastors, church is monetization. Jesus as a divided symbol, thus emerges the divided symbol of Jesus in America. For the wealthy, he is the God of Wall Street, the patron saint of entrepreneurs, the divine CEO who nods approvingly at their success. For the poor, he is the suffering servant, the cosmic rescuer who will one day reverse their misfortune. But in the hands of pastors and televangelists, Jesus is neither. He is a marketing tool, a brand flexible enough to mean whatever the audience wants him to mean, so long as both groups keep tithing. This is not the carpenter of Nazareth. This is Jesus repackaged for a consumer market. Jesus the motivational speaker. Jesus the wealth manager. Jesus the corporate logo. And while the faithful debate whether he is real or mirth, the pastors laugh all the way to the bank, because in the marketplace of belief, the symbol of Jesus, whether divided, distorted, or reimagined, never stops selling. The responsibility of the rich toward the poor, but what if the wealthy actually listen not to the prosperity gospel, but to Jesus himself? Jesus was clear, almost brutally so. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. When you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind. Whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. The responsibility of the rich toward the poor is not optional. It is the core of his teaching. Wealth was never meant to be proof of divine favor. It was meant to be a test of generosity. The rich were called not to flaunt their blessing, but to redistribute it. Imagine, for a moment, if America's megachurch pastors practiced what Jesus preached. If Joel Osteen sold his mansion and used the proceeds to pay off medical debt. If Kenneth Copeland traded his private jet for community health clinics. If Willow Creek transformed its conference centers into homeless shelters, the impact would be revolutionary. Poverty could be alleviated. Communities transformed. The church would return to its original mission, not as an empire of wealth, but as a movement of compassion. But that would require the rich to see Jesus not as a validator of privilege, but as a challenger of power. It would require the wealthy elite to see faith not as a luxury brand, but as a radical responsibility. Jesus Inc. or Jesus of Nazareth. And so, we return to the carpenter. in America today. Jesus is many things. To the wealthy, he is a divine justification. To the poor, he is a fragile hope. To the pastors, he is a business model. But beneath the noise of megachurches, the glitz of prosperity gospel, and the cynicism of Jesus Inc., the original message still whispers through history. Blessed are the poor. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You cannot serve both God and money. The question is not whether Jesus exists. The question is, which Jesus are we following? The marketable mascot of capitalism, the radical teacher of Nazareth who demanded justice, sacrifice, and solidarity with the least of these. Because one of these Jesuses will lead us to bigger mansions and shinier jets. The other will lead us to uncomfortable truths and inconvenient responsibilities. And only one of them, if the Gospels are to be believed, has anything to do with God.